my Virgo friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your March 2025 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Virgo, I'm referring to Virgo rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Virgo moon and Virgo sun. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time and location of birth to determine that information. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. March 2025, it's big. A lot of the months have been big because each one is like a domino effect, creating something to be experienced and to be integrated as one thing touches another. And this month we'll start eclipse season. We will see your ruling planet Mercury go retrograde with Venus from Aries to Pisces. So we're going from your 8th house to your 7th house and back again. So there's going to be a lot of focus on spirituality, partnership, harmony, how you implement that, how you muse upon that, how you process that. Virgo is experiencing the nodal shift that started in January, where the South Node entered your first house. And as such, the South Node is on some level really bringing experiences and ideas to the forefront that will erode any necessity for perfection or any rigidity or anywhere that you are paralyzed and can't move forward without, how can I say this? Sometimes in the Virgo energy, you can find a lot of work gets done, a lot of chores get done, a lot of organization gets done, but there's not balance. And so I think that becomes a rigid routine of chores and service on some level. And so when your service is not built on your joy, on your passion, on your fulfillment, it's not truly service. At least not from the divine's point of view. It is of some service, but as you follow your heart, as you follow and integrate your mercurial dynamics with your Venusian dynamics, you will be more powerful in your service to others, and it will also help create a very healthy body. I quickly want to say this about the Virgo energy. Because while Virgo rising is the first house, in the traditional chart, Virgo is the 6th house. So we're seeing the soul experience the first 5 houses of the development of the self through your childhood, discovering your voice, your talents, your skills, your body, what interests you, what doesn't interest you. And you take those first 5 houses, you graduate high school, and you move into your 6th house of service. Some people will go on to higher education, yes, but oftentimes we think of the 6th house of Virgo as work. Work creates stress, stress affects the body, and it is our daily routines. The South Node going through your first house wants to erode any daily routines that don't serve your joy. Now we go into the idea that Neptune is going to move into your 8th house of transformation, really bringing to the forefront a soul's yearning to release any energies that don't serve the authenticity that it wants to demonstrate in this environment. So when we get caught up in the earthbound rules and regulations and we end up chasing the weekends or we're chasing our paycheck, we're not standing in our divinity. And that's what's on the table right now. And for you, Virgo, you're going to experience your first eclipse. It's going to be on the 13th of March. at 11:54. It is a total lunar eclipse. Then on the 29th, we will do a partial solar eclipse in Aries. I believe that's the last one in Aries. And then we move on from there. We will, as I said, see Neptune move into Aries, and we will see Mercury, your ruling planet, retrograde with Venus. I did a separate video on that, so check that out. Let's pull up the chart and get into some of the specifics I think are of interest. The beginning of the month starts off with this. I think of this as a galactic summit of planets, all convening, conversing. While the moon and Venus are in Aries right now, Venus is preparing, stationing to go retrograde on the 2nd. So she's sort of standing still in the sky, evaluating her self-worth in relation to other people. For you, Virgo, Aries is a money access. It is your 8th house, and Libra is your 2nd house. So this is the money that you would, through your own individual ideas, or this would be the resources that you get through your own individual talents and creativity, you will have more abundance. And Venus is thinking about that right now as she is stationing to go retrograde back into the beautiful and dreamy exaltation of Pisces in the 7th house. So I also want to comment that at the beginning of the month, we see Mercury and Neptune and the North Node together. And this could be a kind of a polarizing thing on some level, because as this is your 7th house, you could find some of your partnerships with others may feel as if they're dissolving, or you could feel that your communication is not being heard clearly for some reason, and you could find it very frustrating. Again, here's Virgo that rules process, and here's this kind of watery, foggy energy of Pisces in the house of peace. And I think sometimes the challenge of the North Node is that it's so hungry for an experience that it can almost miss the experience. So I want to offer this because I think the hunger here is to be heard, to be seen on some level. We also have had Saturn traveling through your 7th house since late 2023. The focus here is Saturn building, or is requiring, a strong foundation with your divinity, with your soul, with your creativity, because your creativity is a reflection of the truth of your soul. And you can be creative in all sorts of ways. It doesn't have to be with paints and with, clay. It can be with finances and money. But what it is there's something about this energy right now that's telling me that Virgo is being asked to step into your dynamics with other people, bringing your talents to the table, standing in your individuality while being in a cooperative component to others. I don't know quite how to say that any more clearly, because the cooperative component to others is more, it doesn't feel like it's about you being of service. It feels like it's about you listening to whatever they have to say, or you paying attention and not maybe going into a place where you've got too much to do to listen. I don't know why I'm putting it that way, but I let spirit lead the charge when it comes to my intuitive hits. That's why I call myself an intuitive astrologer. Let's go to the 3rd, where we will see Mercury enter Aries. As Mercury is on the world axis, this is a very powerful degree and a very powerful point in the zodiac wheel, because it's the very beginning of it, where the beginning of life starts, the self is discovered. So here we're discovering the mind in relation to my spirituality, or where I have inadvertently escaped through a sense of duty, because this is very much what Virgo can do. Virgo can find, I must do this in order for me to, if I don't do it, it won't get done, or it won't get done right. And I think that the divinity here that's represented by Neptune is that sometimes we take power away from others when we don't give them an opportunity to fail, to do something different than the way we would do it, and then learn from that. There's something very much for my Virgos about cooperation here. There's about looking through a new lens at the people that you interact with and being brave at the same time to still be who you are. It feels like more of a give and an exchange, you know. If we think about it, water can sometimes, well, it can drown out the fire here. And we don't want the partnership or your lack of harmony to drown out your individuality when it comes to interacting with others and being brave in your passions. That's really where I'm going. Virgo is getting an opportunity to be egoless to their everyday activities right now, to their processes and their need for organization. And not saying that you can't be organized, but infusing this more ethereal, more lyrical, dreamy sense of fulfillment for the self. I think that's so powerful and so important. On the 11th, we're going to see Mercury and Venus conjunct at 8 degrees with Venus retrograde and Mercury direct. This is one of the first most powerful conversations that they are having together about my self-worth, about my money, about my skills, about my comfort and my luxury. And when I say luxury, it doesn't mean it has to be an actually luxury item. It's how you feel a sense of luxury. This is very individualistic. And I think it's important also to think about how you're talking to yourself about money, because you're on this axis with the Libra Aries axis. You have a great talent for cooperating with people. You have a great talent for potentially being a peacemaker. But I think that this is a different level of peace. This is an inner peace for the self. This is what this transformation is. And as you allow yourself to trust that your passions can make money, or your passions can bring in the resources, and you're willing to do the endurance of trusting your emotional body over what you can see with your eyes, or what's in the bank, or what's, how many clients you have, I think you're going to feel a great sense of power. I also want to offer that as the Sun and Saturn come into conjunction for the next couple of days, we're going to see an eclipse with Saturn in conjunction. The Sun is very much going to get sort of this jolt of where do I restrict myself through my fears? Where do I become I might follow the rules too much. Let's quickly go to the 13th. This is a full moon, the first full moon on the Virgo Pisces axis. This is going to be at 11:54 p.m. Pacific time. And this is where the sun's light reflects onto the moon. And we see that the nodal axis is part of the conjunction here with this full moon. So there will be almost a destined moment that you have contracted to as a Virgo rising, to become more aware of your emotional needs and how you process your emotional needs. And if for some reason you go into that, into process or into organization or something in the earth that has maybe been out of balance, too many chores, too many things to keep a sense of control, like organization means control. And now rewriting that story. Saturn is wanting to rewrite the sun's light from feeling vulnerable, like from the ego, into something that's exciting, an exciting God opportunity. And I think that's further supported by the North Node and Neptune and their conjunction. And then, of course, I do think that Venus and Mercury in the Aries energy are supporting those thoughts. It's like we're going in layers. We're wanting to build structure through illumination of old habits that we have, emotional old habits that you have. And if your rising sign is anywhere within a few degrees this point here of the moon. This is going to be super powerful because over the next 6 months, there will be a series of events that give you an opportunity to process things through your new lens versus your old lens. And I want to offer that when a divine disruption or what may seem like an annoyance comes up, it's an opportunity for you to walk through it with your new and evolved awareness. And that's why it's a gift and not a curse, which sometimes it can feel like. On the 15th, Mercury will start its retrograde. It is currently stationed right now. So we'll just quickly go there. And again, Mercury and Venus will be in conversation all the way back through these planets, touching upon getting close enough to them. So we're really going to be revisiting our history, revisiting where we've been escaping, where maybe we have used drugs, alcohol, shopping, gambling, sex, to hide, to defer your own greatness. And not to be judged or to be chastised or to be criticized over, because we definitely don't want to do anything critical. That's what the South Node is doing here. It's removing and releasing any perfectionism, any rigidity, any overly critical thinking of yourself and others, and giving yourself more wiggle room for the process that the human starts with, which is an emotional dynamic, which then filters through the mercurial energy into the material. Okay. We will see the sun conjunct Neptune just before it moves into Aries on the 20th. And then on the 22nd, we will see the sun in a conjunction with Venus at 2 degrees. And I think this is important because this is, again, the sun is now coming through this galactic summit. And per most astrologers, the sun is going to combust every one of these planets. I don't know if I would phrase it that way, as much as I think the sun has gone through each one of these points as it went through the Pisces energy and now has entered Aries, asking these planets, where are you edging God out, the ego? And where are you ready to accept exciting God opportunities? That's my new acronym for ego. Because without a healthy ego, the human can't really survive and thrive. So we don't ever want to villainize the ego. And we never want to pamper it either. It's an interesting dynamic. And nice by this time, and I want to say as well, which I should have mentioned maybe a little earlier, we finally, after months and months, literally from December to March 12th, I think it was December 19th to March 12th, Uranus was stationed at 23 degrees in your 9th house of beliefs and 9th house of Taurus. It's also a house of money and commerce and of legal matters and of education. It's finally starting to move forward. And when Uranus moves from your 9th house into your 10th house, Virgo, you really have an opportunity to have a whole new public persona, per se, to see things in a whole new light. The 10th house is that house of great leadership. And I think it's an opportunity to revolutionize yourself, because as Uranus moves into your 10th house, Jupiter will ultimately move into your 11th house of hopes and dreams in June. So the reason I bring these things up is this energy is teeing up these outer planets, sort of outer planet, moving into these new energies. Now, so we've just seen the sun and Venus having this conversation where the sun is saying, do you have a healthy ego, Venus? Are you allowing yourself to be the brave, strong, receptive energy that you are, the creative energy that you are? This is also significant because this particular point right now is just 2 degrees away from that 0 degree of the world axis. So this conjunction is on this point of great potential. Now we go to a couple days later on the 24th, and we see that Mercury is having this conversation now, but it's not in a close, I don't think this is close enough to the world axis. I mean, yes, there's influence here, but now this is where the sun is asking Mercury the same basic questions. And Venus is still hovering on the world axis. So this conversation is pretty
important, but Mercury now is focused on the sun. How are they interacting? How is the is how am I operating with my ego? Because Mercury is your ruling planet. So when Mercury gets back to the 0 degree, I think that's going to be another great opportunity for another reevaluation. The other thing that's important to know about Mercury for Virgo rising is that Mercury is also exalted in Virgo. So as a Virgo, your mercurial energy is very, very strong. It's strong in a way that's celebrated. So when you start applying your analysis and your process into your meditations and your co-creations and your intentions, you could be an amazing servant to mankind by representing what happens when you being aware of your emotional body before you go into your doing, your mercurial body, and then you go into your manifestations and they come to you. All right, so now we go to the 27th, where Venus will re-enter her exaltation and she'll be conjunct Neptune. They won't be like this again for 164 years because Venus won't be able to have a conjunction with Neptune in exaltation again. She won't see this. So this is a really powerful time to be dreaming, to think without your brain. to I know that sounds funny to think without your brain, but I kind of saw the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz because he was so smart and he didn't realize it. And the Tin Man had a heart and he didn't realize it. And so I feel like everything you have is already there, Virgo. Now it's just a matter of being aware to apply the moon into this energy because we're going into on the 29th, a new moon in Aries. And this is a solar eclipse. This is happening at 3:57 a.m., 3:58 a.m., excuse me. And I think this is very powerful because now your ruling planet is retrograde on that 0 degree of Aries. So there is this opportunity to harness your vibration, the vibration of your speech that ripples out into the universe, and set this intention for some new experience that you would like to have. The opposition to the South Node here in your first house between essentially Mercury, Neptune, Venus, the North Node, and Saturn is like it's tasking you in such a huge way to drop old habits that don't serve you, overthinking, over analyzing, and what is it? Analysis paralysis. And I do think that part of this struggle in the background is the Mars energy squaring Chiron in the house of self. Again, the Aries energy is your 8th house, and the Cancer energy is your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And the 22nd degree is a rather challenging degree. So there can be a real fight between, how you have identified yourself up until now and addressing your emotional needs. That's kind of a little bit of the mind meld of Virgo, because from my perspective, I think Virgo is the virgin that's taking those first 5 houses and going into whole new, more elevated energy of service to others with your talents of who you are. But inadvertently, that can get mixed up with who other people expect you to be as you are of service to them. So that might be where we're seeing a big push and pull. But I, again, think that's being supported by your 9th house of Taurus and Uranus's transit through that, kind of hopefully breaking the muck up. All right, now let's go to, and again, I'm going to do separate videos on the eclipses and go into much more detail. Sorry. Let me go to the 30th, and then I'm going to go back to 12 p.m. All right, so now we see both Venus and Mercury have re-entered Pisces, and Neptune has put its toe on that world axis. This is huge, huge, huge. I think people will initially feel a bit of erosion, like, am I seen? Am I here? How do I process this? Because water essentially puts out fire. But then I think of it also as the potential of learning how to ride the emotional seas of manifestation and of the soul's willingness to go through divine disruptions to exercise its intention and its knowing. We see Venus and Mercury and the North Node are literally, well, it's Mercury, Venus, and the North Node are sequential in their retrograde. 29, 28, 27. This is some sort of divine synchronicity. Mercury at that 29th degree, 11, that reduces down to an 11. My master number of thought, 1. We see Venus at 28 degrees, reduces down to a 10. That's another 1 to add to my master number of thought. We see the North Node at 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree of thought. We actually even see the sun at 10 degrees of Aries. There's another 1 in there. So this end of the month is very much going to bring forth, for those that are standing in a intention, we're going to notice the duality in our own minds. We're going to notice the human structure that's been imprinted, and then this longing for this soul's experience that feels like pie in the sky. And yet at the same time, those of us that stay the course will start to experience those things. And you, Virgo, could experience some very interesting things in your house of partnerships, in your house of cooperation, in your house of peace, in your house of diplomacy. Because when you were looking at Pisces energy, we often have this sense of invisibility attached to it. This also happens in the Cancer energy a little bit as well. But I want to say that because as you recognize the self and be egoless to the partners in your life, recognizing you and your talents right now, you could very well experience their revolution and even maybe their surprise as they enjoy and celebrate this sort of new facets of who and what you are. Okay. So it's a very powerful time for Virgo. I think because we're rewriting this energy very much so. So the South Node is a willingness to let go of the old definition, to have the practicality and the realism to know that everything evolves, including you and your thoughts. And as you give life to those new thoughts, and you do it with joy, and you do it with faith, not with hope, you'll start to see something very powerful manifest for you because you're so good at process. All right, my Virgos, thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Join me on Wednesdays, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, where I do tarot card readings based on your personal questions. You can put them in the chat, and we go in order. Those that donate to Super Chat or to Super Thanks get to the head of the class. On Sunday mornings, 11 a.m., we look at the transits ahead, and we talk about those. Get to do a little reading there as well and commune as a tribe. So I hope you will join me. And please like, please subscribe, please share, and come back for more content throughout the year. Have a great day. Have a great March.